It's 28 degrees here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine, Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
It's the 20th day in the month of February 2025. Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Well, we're taking you all the way to the northwest of Nigeria this morning. It is 23 degrees in Kaduna, the capital of Kaduna State. Yeah, it was one of those states and capitals that was easy to learn growing up. What is the capital of Kaduna? Kaduna. But we're taking you all the way to the city center where you see the green fields right there, usually a spot of relaxation and for sports. It is known that the people of the city do enjoy playing polo. And you see right there the polo fields and the sports centers where these events are held. So Kaduna City Center greeting you from the skies this morning. I hope it's a view you enjoy to see, Ayo.
And for those who see the north, look at the north, the image of the north you have is of brown sand, brown roof everywhere, underdeveloped or undeveloped place, a place of insecurity and all. Well, this place doesn't look like anything near the illusion that may be in the head. Now, of course, we know that we have problems of human capital development and all, but not the infrastructure, as you can see. And yes, Maupe, for those who are looking to go do business in the north, clearly this is one of those places. And of course, you know that Kaduna has been at the forefront of promoting investment and industrialization in the state for a while. So yes, anyone thinking, okay, just look at that mist, come on. That's something straight out of a movie, Maupe, don't you think? Just look at that.
A moment to admire that, Ayo. Well, it's just for our viewers this morning to just feel like what it will be in the skies. You know, a moment of meditation, a moment of reflection, so to speak. But we're bringing you back down to earth. I wish we wouldn't do it so quickly. But we have to tell you, you know, quite a lot is happening on Mother Earth today, particularly right here in the Federal Capital Territory, where the book launch of a much-awaited book, the autobiography of Nigeria's former head of state, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, is happening here in the Federal Capital Territory. It's very interesting, Ayo. When I saw that invitation, it said, you know, the launch of the much-awaited or the long-awaited autobiography. That's what it said. So I was like, oh, so they know that we've been waiting for this. Well, the book launch is happening today. So also as a fundraising for a presidential library, which they're hoping to build in his honor, and also to have, you know, artifacts and all that concerns him stored in that library. I know that usually gentlemen like this usually have a treasure trove of history, you know, accompanying what it is that they did while they were in office, the things that they know. So the book launch is happening today. So also is the fundraising for that presidential library. We'll be bringing it to you live here on Channels Television. So stay tuned at 11 a.m. We'll be going live to the Hilton for the coverage of that book launch and the fundraiser. The book reviewer is no other than former Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo, and I dare say he does a fine job of book reviewing.
Well, most certainly. Honestly,
what do you have for us?
Well, to be honest, on this one, I'm looking forward to the book presentation, no doubt. But I'm also looking forward to a movie that will be a spin-off of that autobiography. I saw a movie on IBB, and believe me, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't quite do justice. Maybe this story will be able to give us more insight. Now, of course, the MPC meeting briefing will also hold today. Of course, we'll be bringing you that, as well. The CBN governor will be briefing on the meeting, the outcome of the MPC that has already held as usual. And as Malkwell also mentioned earlier, later on today, in Ijomeko and her team will sit down with a group of professionals to give us an understanding of the whole shebang about it and how it affects the man on the street. So all of that is happening today, but after the conversation we are bringing to you following this break.
Based on a letter by Governor Hyacinth Ali of Benue State, members of the Benue State House of Assembly resolved to remove the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Maurice Ikpembese. However, 13 of the lawmakers rejected the decision of the Assembly, which has drawn the annoyance of their colleagues.
The same people that voted, some of them even raised their two hands. The video is here. So what is the image? 13 people, 23 people voted out of 30 members that were sitting down, and the same 13 people are saying they were not part of that. The House resolved that they should be suspended for 3 months. And the House also resolved that, Clark, you write to them, let them refund the money for the trip. The Ministry of Finance, because the Ministry of Finance that paid them, let them refund it. And you also write to the consultant to return their passport. Is that one taking?
If they wanted, there's nothing they could have done. Rather, maybe they will bring another motion some other day. You can't discuss a thing that has been concluded on the floor, outside the House, because even at the floor, you have to bring a motion to let the House allow you to bring it if there are new facts you have discovered. So that was not good conduct, it was not honorable, it was disrespectful to the House, and by our rules, they are due to be suspended and we just upheld their suspension.
Nevertheless, the 13 lawmakers are rejecting the suspension.
Yesterday, we had a press conference where we disassociated ourselves from the purported removal of the Chief Judge. We fought to instill fairness, equitable and fair hearing, which were completely abandoned or ignored at yesterday's proceedings. Today, we have been suspended for standing against the arbitrariness, unlawful and tyrannical practice by the House of Assembly.
The suspended lawmakers maintain that the action of the Assembly to remove the Chief Judge is illegal.
Well, that's precisely what we're discussing this morning, the matters in Benue State involving the executive, the judiciary, and also the State House of Assembly. So you heard the story there. The governor had written a letter to the State House of Assembly alleging misconduct on the part of the Chief Judge of the state and asking for his suspension or removal, as the case might be. And the State House of Assembly decided to start with the process. In the middle of it, turns out that some lawmakers felt that due process had not been followed, and as such, they dissociated themselves from it. Other lawmakers within the chamber said, but they were part of it. A number of them had raised up their hands and, in fact, raised up both hands. And as such, given the impression they're trying to give about our House of Assembly, we're going to be suspending them. Well, the lawmakers have since taken their suspension with equanimity. But that's what we're discussing this morning, because what we now begin to understand is that due process has not been followed, or that's what we're beginning to hear. The NJC has waded into the matter as the National Judicial Council, saying that you cannot remove the chief judge until due process has been followed. We've also seen the intervention of the Nigerian Bar Association also condemning the lawmakers for their action or their purported actions on the removal of the chief judge. Mr. Femi Falana, a respected senior advocate, has also said that the NBA shouldn't just condemn it. He says that lawyers within the State House of Assembly where that happened should be suspended. Well, these are some of the things that we have now heard concerning this particular matter. We have actors in this issue joining us this morning to discuss what precisely led to this. Do they think they have followed due process? We have with us Honorable Gabo Simon, who is a member representing Mata State Constituency. He joins us via Zoom from Makodi. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning. Honorable Gabo Simon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you here again.
Okay, we also have with us Mr. Sate Tiser, who is a majority leader of the Benue State House of Assembly. He's also joining us via Zoom. Honorable, you're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you, Mark.
And we also have in our studios this morning, since he became a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Monday Ubani, it's good to see you.
Markwe, my pleasure, honestly.
Well, this is what we have been presented. These are the issues that we now have before us. So let's first of all take the matters to members of the Benue State House of Assembly. How did we get here? How did we get to the impasse? Because clearly the National Judicial Council has not supported the actions of members of the Benue State House of Assembly. So how would you interpret the actions that you have taken amongst yourselves, purportedly suspending or removing the chief judge of the state? Let me come to you, Honorable Gabo Simon. Do you want to intervene in this first?
Good morning. Hello.
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes, I appreciate you. I want to thank you for the wonderful job you've been doing. Yes, as you can hear or see on the faces of the media, print media and Facebook, that's exactly what happened. And I still stand by it. The 13 of us still stand by it to say that the right proceedings was not followed. That's all what we're saying.
What was the right proceedings that should have been followed?
Yes. The right process is this. This has to do with the chief judge of the state. And anything that has to do with the chief judge of the state, we are lawmakers. So we have to go by the law. The Constitution stated it very clear, and our standing rules stated it very clear. So they ought to have they brought it to the House. That was perfect. We agree with that. But then, we are not the one to remove the chief judge of the state. We can only recommend after the NJC have find out, investigate, go into details and find out that this man is guilty of what the allegation against him. That's the process. Not just for you to come and read it for us without sending it to the NJC. If you could remember, it was after this, what happens in Benue State House of Assembly, that a letter was transmitted to the NJC a day after. If you saw it, they came out to say, you brought this thing to us today. So you can see that we are right for saying that the right process was not, the due process was not carried out. That is our stand, and we still remember that.
Okay, let me come to you, Honorable Tiser. You are the majority leader, and the State House of Assembly now seems to be involved in some illegality. Would you accept responsibility, or would you accept that what you have done in trying to remove the chief judge of the state is an illegality?
Mark, thank you very much. I don't want to hold you contempt to say that, to pronounce the action of the Assembly as illegality anyway. But I will go straight to where it concerns us. My colleague, he happens to be my brother, from the same local government, we have Shongo, Ahon, Bagwa, Yos Mata. And I happen to be majority leader. Our action, given the fact that we have 3 arms of government, executive, judiciary, and the legislature. All these are defined by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we acted based on Section 292. If you go to 292 as A12, and then we are supposed to, the action was based on the 292A2, which says that by an address of the governor, we, by 2/3 majority in the House, recommend the removal of the Chief Judge, which is what we did. I do not know what Gabo is saying. He didn't say that the House of Assembly should investigate. We did not originate. We didn't originate that. It came from the executive, which satisfied the provisions there I have stated. And we debated it. I believe that Honorable Gabo participated, and I know also that it is from their counter motion and their own call. One Honorable Becky Tokwasi Opi called the House to be divided into votes, and we voted with about 2/3. And we recommended that the request of the governor is achieved. We have met the constitutional requirement by 212, those relevant, that relevant provision, and the governor recommended that the Chief Judge be removed. So we didn't do anything outside our own job. It is not Gabo's judge to investigate what the executive should have done with the National Judicial Service Commission or so. A letter, an address from the governor was sent. It was read on the floor. We debated and we voted. We got 23. The Constitution of the Benue State House of Assembly, 22, we have 2/3. We have 23. And by that 23, the recommendation passed, the request of the governor passed, and we recommended for relevant actions to be taken, which is removal of the Chief Judge.
So what you're saying is that, because what we're saying, what we're saying now is that the National Judicial Council has, voided that removal. How would you interpret the action vis-a-vis what it is that you have done?
When I read on channels yesterday evening, they said they are they are investigating. So I hold contempt to the word void, actually, because they have not done any final address on that. Our recommendations are done. So if they do have concluded their investigation, as at this morning, I don't know. But as yesterday when I was watching your channel, they said they are looking into it.
Mr. Ubani,
that's the agency.
This is where we are now. You've heard both sides of the... Because before I come to you, let me quickly... Why have you suspended, or why did the House reach the conclusion to suspend 13 of the members who were against the suspension of the Chief Judge? I don't know if you can hear me. Honorable Chise, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I was asking why the House decided to suspend 13 members.
Even there, when you say that those who were against the suspension, the removal of the Chief Judge, that is not the issue. It is the right to vote for and against, which some members voted against. The requirement for our recommendation is 2/3 majority of the House, which we got 2/3. Later on, some people came in because they had afterthought, and maybe because of certain pressures that came from somewhere, maybe their paymasters or whatever, I don't know, came to the television, because we do our business on the floor. And by the Constitution, the provision of Section 101, the House of Assembly, as we have the right, we are given the powers to regulate our business. And on the floor, you argue. When it calls for voting, you vote. A majority by 2/3 in this instant case will carry the day. That was done. And some people just went in because they were pressured, maybe. And after thought and said that they were not part of it, I can tell you, if you want me to call names, I will call. Certain people that had their signatures on this issue came out because they were pressured. I know one of them that called and told me that he's been pressured too much to go to a press conference. We don't do our businesses in beer parlors or in people's houses. We do our businesses on the floor. And it is there is a prohibition. Once a thing is concluded on the floor, before you reopen it, you can bring a motion back on the floor to show that there are new evidences that were not considered at the time we were discussing. So they went in, and as members of the House of Assembly, we are the Constitution has given us certain rights, and it is not the same right like somebody who's drinking in Urukum market. Urukum is a market in Magudi. If the president drinks, and then you can even stand on the road, nothing will happen to you. And when you come to the house, there's a conduct, because we are on oath, and we are very honorable people. So we suspended them because of the conduct they did. It gave disrepute to the House. After participating in a peaceful process, there was no protest on the floor. We voted, we got 23, which is more than 2/3. Our 2/3 is 22. So if they had any issues, they could have waited. When we come back, they can bring a motion to request the Speaker to give them based on the new facts that have emerged, so we can reconsider a decision that was taken before. They didn't do that. It is against our conduct, and that's why they were suspended. By Order 10 of our House Rules, 72, subsection 4, permits the House to suspend them.
Okay, Honorable Simon, let me come to you now. I don't know whether you're one of those who is now being accused of recanting. In other words, you voted in the House, for the suspension of the Chief Judge, and then later on left the House to say that you are not a part of it or you have nothing to do with it. Is that the situation of you and the 13 others who were suspended? Were you found to be recanting?
Thank you for that. I appreciate my brother so much for having the energy to say all this.
Thank you.
But again, yes, we are talking about our standing rules here. And if you look at our standing rules, I think the channel, if you ask your people, they covered this thing very well. They were live. I think there are some people that were live. There are some people that covered it. I talk with facts. The people that covered it, ask channel, let channel produce that video that they covered that thing. You will see that I stood up. When they were counting this thing, when they did the counting, I stood up. I said constitutional matter. I repeat this repeatedly. And we all know that the moment someone stood up for point of order in constitutional matter, that person ought to have been given listening ears. And all they could say, they could shout at me because the Speaker has the gavel, he has the overall power, shouted at me to sit down. And you see, we have proceedings of suspending somebody. That leads to the proceeding of suspending somebody. We have proceedings of suspending somebody in the House. Yes, it made mention of the Order 10, that Order 1072.
1072, subsection 4.
Yes, I know. It made mention of Order 2. So if you look at this, the issue of the suspension there, they said because we went out to do this, even on the floor there, immediately they finished this thing. If you could hear me, Channel interviewed me and I told them that this what we did was wrong. That's not the proceedings. The proceeding is after you might have counted those that voted for. Then, okay, you said 23 voted for. Okay, let's assume we agree that 23 voted for. So, do they count the other ones that voted against? The videos are there. I don't want to talk too much. The videos are there. Do they count them? The answer is no, they didn't. They went ahead and said 23. Check the video very well. You see that they were not counting people. The video caught only the clock, which was saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was as if it was a planned something. But when that is left for them, all we are saying is the 13 of us did not participate. And we did not participate. He knows I did not participate in it. And I told the channel.
Were you in the house when the vote took place?
I was in the house.
And you didn't stage your walkout?
No, I don't need to stage the walkout. We are proceeding. We work with constitution.
Thank you, Mr.
We are proceeding to the head. And the proceedings said allow me to call for order or constitutional matter. And anywhere a constitutional matter is called or a point of order is called, it is bestowed on the speaker to allow that person that is calling on the point of order to make his point of order. Or read the section of the constitution that he wanted to call the attention of the House for. And that was not allowed. In such case,
thank you, Mr. Gabo.
I have to not grant a press. Hello, I have to grant a press that this is what is happening. And when we went out, we said, no, we can't take this. And we didn't go out of context. We only say what happens at the House because we are representative of the people. We are representing our various constituencies. We say what happened at the House since they refused to count those that we are against. Had they been the count those that we are against, our standing rule says they are very clear. Maybe they didn't know about this section or they didn't come about this. They didn't come across it. I don't know, but I think majority that you know this thing very well. These are standing rules.
No, this is not a situation of recanting. It was that you were not a part of the process.
Oh, that's 7 here. There was nothing like, they didn't count it well. It was not counted. They didn't count us. Those of us that say no to it, they didn't count us.
Interesting.
Ask them, do they count those that says against? The answer is no.
Whatever the outcome is in the House of Assembly, we understand a statement was released yesterday by the National Judicial Council, and the statement said the decision was an affront to constitutional provisions on the discipline of judges. These are not my words, these are the words of the National Judicial Council. So when I asked you the question about an illegality, I'm asking it based on the decision of the NJC, you know, saying that this is an affront to the constitutional provisions on the disciplining of judges. It says this is solely within its own purview. So I don't know what you have to say about the statement of the NJC.
I do not want to meddle into the issues of NJC because by the provisions of the Constitution going by 212 and that A2, the House of Assembly is not expected to interact with NJC. We are supposed to take cognizance of an address sent by the governor and, agree by 2/3, which was done. I am happy that my brother said that he participated and there was voting. The House of Assembly of Benue State is 32. We had 31 members seated. The speaker doesn't vote until there is a tie. So when we have 23, which 2/3 by 22, that counting was done. And I'm so surprised that when I saw that video, I saw some renovations outside in some private house. We don't run our businesses there. That's why we are on oath and we're elected members sent here to do decent business. When you have an issue, you bring it back to them.
To interrupt you, Honorable Tise, you refute any allegation that the counting was not done properly.
There was counting properly. The counting was done properly.
Okay.
I ask a question. Did they count those?
Subtract 23 by 31, you get the result.
Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, Honorable Tise, please hold your thoughts. I'm going to come to the guests in the studio now. Well, you have listened to, the back and forth by members of the Benue State House of Assembly. You are also aware of the provisions of the Constitution that, state very clearly what the procedure should be should a chief judge of the state be removed before he is about to be, or he or she is about to be retired. What precisely is the bone of contention here? Because the NJC feels strongly affronted by the decision of the State House of Assembly.
Yeah, thank you very much. The truth of the matter is the issue of appointment and removal of judges and even chief judges of the state is actually governed by the provisions of the Constitution and by judicial pronouncement. It's very important. What I discover here is, issue of quality of legal advice that the House did not possess when they went into the process of removal of the state chief judge. There has been several decisions, even of the Supreme Court. If you remember that when Saraki was the governor of Kwara State, he also, from the executive angle, removed a state chief judge. And that particular matter proceeded from the lowest court to the final court of the land, and that is the Supreme Court. I think it was Aleru Habib versus the Attorney General of the Federation. And the Supreme Court made a pronouncement to guarantee the independence of the judiciary. Very important, because they perform a very grave responsibility. You don't leave them to the vagaries of the politicians' whims and caprices. Maybe when they feel offended, they can just remove them. So, issue of discipline of a judge, you must involve the agency. And that is the truth, including ordinary judges. I'm not talking about it, let alone chief judge. If you want to remove a chief judge, the process is you put up a petition, whatever the grievances are, or misconduct or corrupt practices you are alleging, you send it to the agency, they will investigate. When they investigate, and then they now make their findings and send a recommendation to the state governor, who now, of course, if he feels that the chief judge should go, now takes the matter to the State House of Assembly, and then by 2/3 majority, that chief judge stands removed. You see the process. The process of appointment is also a recommendation of the agency to the governor. The governor now sends it for affirmation by the State House of Assembly. If you want to remove, make whatever report you are making, allegation to which they have done now. Because the agency has just received this formal petition. And so, because that would have been the first thing they would have done. The agency investigate this chief judge, and then if it is proven that this particular chief judge has erred, then the recommendation we made also to the governor, who now, on address, send to thought, remove. You don't just wake up in the morning, and Abia tried it. If you remember, the same process, and the agency was very angry with the State House of Assembly then. Now, the 292 is quoting actually does not contain the input of the agency, but there is a pronouncement. Because the law, he must have a complete knowledge of the law. And the law is what the court says it is. The court says, look, if you have given agency disciplinary powers, under the Constitution, then who is over judges and chief judges. If you are not making allegation for them to be disciplined, then you must report to that body that does that investigation to know whether the person is worthy to be disciplined, and then now make your recommendation. Now, if you now single-handedly, or the politicians now take a decision against an arm that puts them, in check, then there's going to be a problem if there is no safeguard. So that safeguard has been provided by pronouncement of the Supreme Court. So they erred by not getting quality advice. They just relied on the wordings in 292. He had him said 1A, and all that, without understanding that the fact that this is the chief judge of the state, you cannot just remove him by the politicians only. I mean, talking about the governor and the State House of Assembly members. There must be an input of whatever allegations you are alleging, to the agency, let them investigate and make that recommendation. So it is quality of advice they got that actually put them into this particular matter. But I think the agency, has come up to say, look, suspend this, let's investigate this person and let the right thing be done. I see no reason why they should be quarreling. Now, what the other man is saying, it was making sense. If you are saying you had 23 members who voted for, why didn't you also ask for those who were against? At least take the number. Because he is alleging that there was irregularity even in the counting of the 23 members, that there is no truth in it. So if you are saying you wanted also to be fair to everyone, those who are opposed to this removal, let them also raise their hand. Maybe at that time you would have known whether that 23 was actually correct. That's what he was saying. If they were very truthful enough and they want to go through the entire hog and be very fair to everyone, those who are in favor, you count them. Those who are against, you count them. Then you now say, based upon this, you have attained the 2/3 majority, and then remove him. But that process was not followed, and that's why the man is saying that there is irregularity, and they had no time, and they had no opportunity, because they refused them audience in the House. Maybe they now say, okay, let's bring it to the public. and all that. But, well, they are saying that is clearly contrary to their rules, the internal rule, that you don't conduct activities. But if they have no opportunity or being given opportunity in the house, what else do you expect them to do? They have to come and the whole hear us. This is actually what transpired, and that is what they have done in the process.
Okay, but I'm looking at Section B now. I'm looking at, because the whole 292 states removal of judicial officers from office.
Yes.
A judicial officer shall not be removed from his office or appointment before his age of retirement, except in the following circumstances.
Correct.
And then he starts to spell it out. In the case of 1, Chief Justice of Nigeria, President of the Court of Appeal, Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. He states all of them here.
Yes.
Then he talks about Chief Judge of a state, Grand Cadi of a Sharia Court of Appeal, or President of a Customary Court of Appeal of a state, by the governor acting on an address supported by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly of the state, praying that he be so removed for his inability to discharge the functions of his office or appointment, whether arising from infirmity of mind or of body, or from his conduct or contravention of the Code of Conduct.
Yes.
Now, paragraph B says, in any case other than those to which the paragraph A of this subsection applies, by the president or as the case may be, the governor acting on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council, that the judicial officer be so removed for his inability to discharge the functions of his office or appointment, or from his conduct of contravention of the Code of Conduct. So in all of this, there is a mention of the National Judicial Council, talking about the recommendation of the National Judicial Council.
Yes.
Do you think that members of the House of Assembly had a responsibility to confirm if the governor was acting on the recommendation of the NJC?
You're very correct. The position of the law is that if you want to take a position, a proceeding, or an institution want to do certain things and all that, you must ensure that there is due compliance of law. You must ensure. Now, if it involves a chief judge of a particular state, and then the governor has brought an address, to the House and say remove, the proper thing, because they are lawmakers, has the entire process been complied with? Has there been an investigation of the so-called allegation? Is he inability now, incapacity, or misconduct? Because there are two things. Is either the man is incapable of functioning, or he has issue of misconduct. Has there been that investigation? And then what is the outcome of that investigation? Before the governor can now write to the State House of Assembly. You have to ensure that there is a due compliance before you now go ahead and say, okay, to thought. It's in that compliance that you can now remove a chief judge. If there is no that compliance with the law itself, then it then means that you guys have not actually acted on a quality legal advice. And they have to admit that. There is no two way about it. They will not say that they will feign ignorance and say, oh, the governor should have done all that. It's not our business to find out. You should find out whether that entire hog has been gone through by the governor before bringing that address upon which you have acted. If you don't do that, then there is that particular negligence on your own part, and for which you have to admit that you are wrong, and then follow the due process. That is what actually everyone is saying now.
Honorable Sister, is that a point you agree with?
I say very well. And I thank him especially that he has something to say. I do not want to say that he is being hasty in conclusions. We are running a constitutional government, and it's based on letters of the law. There is no provision anywhere that says that the House of Assembly, who didn't originate those allegations? If you were there and if your people were there, I think Ango is representing channels here. I read the address of the governor properly, and they stated that there were investigation. Figures were quoted. Those that borders on figures. The issue that the chief judge waived a law that was duly passed by an assembly and accented to by the governor was also brought. These investigations were done, and the address sent to us said that the investigations were concluded. So as a House of Assembly, these three arms of government have their limitations, they have their rights. It is not for us to go shopping for certain things. I think we acted within the confines of the provisions that are here, and the two-thirds was gotten, fully counted, 18 against 23.
from you, because Honorable Tisse, Honorable Tisse, I don't know if you can hear me, but I just want to quickly, draw you to section B, because it says here, the governor acting on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council.
The State Assembly.
Beg your pardon?
He didn't say the State Assembly acting on recommendation. He said the governor acting on recommendation, and the governor would have acted on the recommendation or not. So, he didn't say the State Assembly.
So you don't think you are saying
we have a constitution that is written and is strict. The words of the letters of the constitution matter.
Indeed, and that's why I'm asking you, do you think that you had a responsibility, that members of the House of Assembly have a responsibility to find out if the governor was acting on the recommendation of the NJC? Beg your pardon?
We are prepared by the Constitution to get to third by an address from the governor, who is supposed to be acting on advice of the NJC.
All right, I'll yield it.
And I am here because I represent the State Assembly.
All right. I know Ayo has further questions for you, Ayo. Let me let you come in here.
Well, thank you, Malkwe. Let me ask Honorable Simon, does the House of Assembly in Benue State have a committee on the judiciary? Honorable Simon, can you hear me? Okay, let me ask Honorable Tisse. Does the House of Assembly have a committee on the judiciary? Well, I'm not sure both gentlemen can hear me. Maybe Mr. Ubani wants to, help rescue. I mean, I'm just, because I've listened to you and I know that you have a response or two to some of the things that he has said as honorable, the majority leader of the House. The question I'm asking is whether or not, as part of the process, maybe the House Committee on the Judiciary in Benue State, in the Benue State House of Assembly, could have at least assisted in the name or in the interest of justice and fairness.
You're very correct, Ayo. The question you asked, is very, very important. If you have a committee on judiciary, they would have even, before this matter came up, before the House, gone through the letter of the governor, and then find out whether the governor has actually complied with the constitutional provision leading to the removal of the state chief judge. And with that advice, but if you see politicians, they're always in a hurry to take decisions most times. And most times, even when they have professionals around them, they may not even want to get any quality advice. What has happened here is clearly an absence of quality of advice. And I don't think they even probably sought for any. Because if they did, either the Attorney General or even the lawyers, that work in the State House Assembly would have told them, look at the position of the law. That the Supreme Court has even made a pronouncement with regards to removal of a state judge, yes, a chief judge, that it is this process. You must get the recommendation of the NJC. The NJC must have done their investigation and be very conclusive of the fact that, this man has actually done this. Is after that the governor can now write to this House of Assembly and then seek for their affirmation that the man should be removed or the woman should be removed, who is a chief judge. If you don't do all that and you are telling us that it's not your job to do that, then you are not operating, within the law because you are
Dr.
an institution.
Just a second. What do you make of Honorable Tisse's position that it is not, on the one hand, it is not their job. On the other hand, his response to Malkwe's question about subsection B of that section of the Constitution that says that the governor has to get the consent of the judicial, that provision of section B does not concern the House of Assembly at all. Is this something that you think has any validity?
No, it doesn't have, and I'm here on national TV and I'm saying it to everyone, including all other institutions. Anytime you are being asked to take a decision and that decision will lead affecting an individual, what we expect every institution to do is to ensure that there is due compliance with the laws. That is very important. You don't say, oh, because the other person has not done it, then if I fail to do it, it doesn't matter. No. This is leading to removal of a state chief judge. It is a very grave responsibility. The independence of the judiciary is guaranteed by the provisions of the law. And so what I expect lawmakers, because they are lawmakers, is to look at the provisions of the law leading to the removal and say, look, has there been due compliance? Mr. Governor, has there been, because the governor would have written there that in accordance with certain section of the Constitution, having gotten the recommendation of the NJC, I am writing to you people, because in the absence of that, will even raise a red flag for them to say, has there been that due compliance, Mr. Governor, Mr. Executive Governor? Have you done that? If you have not done that, please go back and do that. They were very hasty, and they must acknowledge the fact that there is negligence on their part. So any excuse, oh, that is not our duty and all that, clearly is also a further act of negligence on my own part. I mean, on my own view. So I think that they have not gotten it right, and I say it's absence of quality of advice. They have done something that is wrong, and everyone knows, and they themselves also know that they have actually erred. The right thing to do.
Clearly, Dr. Ubani, the House is not agreeing, because going by what the majority leader of the House is saying, and I hope you can hear me now, Honorable Tise. Please confirm that you can hear me, Honorable. Okay, well, so, Mr. Ubani, let us continue. Let me continue with you. I hope that Mark will be able to close out on them. Now, so how about the comment ascribed to or attributed to?
Just to confirm, he can hear you, and he nodded in the affirmative. So you can go ahead with your question.
Okay, Honorable, thank you very much, Mark. So, Honorable, does the House Committee, with that conversation just started, does the House Committee have, House of Assembly in Benue State have a judiciary committee?
As said by the House, to investigate and do oversight. The greatest committee is the Committee of Whole, which is chaired by the Speaker. When we are making laws...
Just a second, I get that. But I'm just asking, just 1 second, if you can hear me. I'm just asking if the House Committee, because I believe that even the Committee of a Whole will have to deliberate on what these other subcommittees do. Okay, this one is from our own subcommittee, and the subcommittee of the whole will deliberate on that. That's the basis for the question, Honorable.
The experience of somebody outside. You're talking from experience of somebody who is not in the House. The committees will bring a report, and I earlier told you that these allegations were not raised from the House. They were based on 292, an address from the governor, which is required to be supported by two-thirds majority of the
Honorable,
House,
which we got. Honorable, just 1 second. Let me ask Honorable Simon, does the House Committee does the House of Assembly in Benue State have a committee, a subcommittee for the judiciary? Because the assumption from layman's perspective, even from citizens of Benue State, is in the name or in the interest of due process, even if the executive, the governor's office, sends a petition against anyone, in this case the chief judge of the state, it should have gone straight, first of all, to the subcommittee on judiciary, if there are no political intents. And the House Committee, subcommittee would look at it and then make some recommendations, which the House Committee of the Whole would deliberate on. So, Honorable Simon, please help us understand. It's just that understanding we want to get first.
What you are saying is simply...
The question is for Honorable Simon. Honorable Tisi, just 1 second. The question is for Honorable Simon. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Okay. We have Committee of Judiciary. And what happens here is this. You see, when I raise the point of order, my colleague here is talking about this law, this section 292. You see, when you are talking about law, you don't just read part of the law and leave it like that. That was what I was reading. I was calling the attention of the House that this petition they read here, I didn't see anywhere they say the governor have sent this thing to the NJC before bringing this thing back to us. Going by the Constitution here, the Constitution said, based on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council I was calling the attention for them to look at this before you talk about two-thirds. Until this thing is done, you are not going to even to go to that two-thirds.
The reason I'm asking that question, Honorable Simon, just 1 second. The reason I'm asking that question is that so many people will be wondering, this is a sudden case. It just suddenly came up. No one knows that, okay, there's been issues around the CJ before now. What is the backstory? Where was the basis or foundation of all the allegations? Because they are grievous allegations that the laws frown at, irrespective of whoever is involved. That's why I'm asking, because the committee of the whole can't go out of the House of Assembly to go and make all of these recommendations. But the subcommittee on judiciary, do you think there was any such job done?
This was not done as a committee of a whole. Because the committee of a whole can only happen when a report from the subcommittee brought in a report. That is when we will have a committee of a whole. This was not done. This was not done. So I think the process was wrong because the Constitution does not mandate us to go ahead and do that, except we hear the governor telling us that he got a report. The National Judicial Council have given him the satisfaction, the recommendation that this judge ate. But that was not done. He only read the report. I said, no, these are too much grievous reports. So we must follow the due process. I made it clear that we must follow the due process. If you talk of voting, we can vote. But even the two-thirds he's talking about, that was not met in the House. It's very clear. You counted 23. Answer was no. He can't answer that because he did not cast it. You understand? And this thing, our standing rule says, before you do this, you write their names down and their signature taken. This was not done. So we said no.
Part of the allegation is that they have your signatures.
It's not a matter of yes, doing this, after 23. How do you get
Honorable Simon, just to confirm again, I'm saying that the speaker, we're listening to the speaker yesterday, he said that they have your signatures. Did you sign anywhere, supporting the removal?
Anywhere, apart from the attendance. Ask the majority leader there. Ask him, did you see me signing anywhere? And if they sign, what were they signing? Ask him. If they sign, what were they signing? That me, Honorable Gabo Simon, do not sign. Was it in the House?
You never signed at any point. You never supported at any point. All of the 13 members never supported at any point the removal of the Chief Judge of Benue State.
Whether inside or outside, I didn't sign any document. It should tell the people that the signature is talking about where was the signature done. Because our standing rules say they are clearly.
That is...
You sign.
That is on record. What I want to know now, given what the NJC has now said, what do you think is the way forward? Because it does appear that there is an impasse of sorts. Even though some people say there's no impasse here, the Chief Judge still remains the Chief Judge.
We can convey an emergency because we work with law. We can convey an emergency that say, yes, we are at the process of learning. What we did was actually wrong. Knowing fully well that it was after what we did that they said they sent the letter to the NJC. So why did they send the letter to the NJC after he said that they alleged that we've removed him? It ought to have been after the NJC before we work on.
You are calling for an emergency meeting, even though the majority leader maintains that they have no business with the NJC, that ought to have been done with the executive arm of government.
We work with the rule. When you quoted Section 922, Section 292 says it's very clear here. You don't just be part of the law and you can't pick the one that suits you and leave the others.
I hear you. Let me quickly ask Mr. Ubani here. This is where we are now. Yes. The NJC has spoken. He considers this an affront.
Yes.
What is the way forward?
The way forward is actually for people in the House to admit that there was an error in procedure. The Constitution is very express as to what the procedure should be when you want to remove a Chief Judge. They have started the writing by writing to NJC. They will do their investigation because they have told them that they should suspend any action they want to take against this CJ until this matter is actually investigated by them. And then they will make that recommendation to the state governor, who eventually now will send it to the House, to do the right thing. But there is one thing that also crop up, the leadership of the State House, of those who are at the federal level, threatening of taking over the State House of Assembly. That again is another issue. If you look at Section 11, it gives you the specific grounds and reason why they can't take over. If those grounds do not arise, you can't take over. It must be that the House has become non-functional, the impracticability of functioning as a House as a result of crisis. If the House can still sit, carry out their proceeding, then you don't have no right, National Assembly to take over. So it's important we point all this out. But the point is that the House erred. Let them do the right thing. Let's not create unnecessary crisis where there is none. That is my advice to them.
It's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you very much, Mr. Monday Ubani, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We also had joining us virtually Honorable Gabo Simon, who is a member representing Mata State constituency, and also Honorable Sate Tisser, who is the majority leader of the Benue State House of Assembly. Well, that's where we leave it on the program today. We see your feedback, Mr. Festus Akimboyewa and Tom Egbele. Hopefully we'll be able to take it tomorrow, but we have to say thank you so much for watching the program today. I'm Mao Kwelbring Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your day.